all the episodes, this one ended gets me. Now, before I talk about the episode, as I've said in every single one of these videos when I talk about the series, this video contains spoilers of episode 7, anything leading up to episode 7. So if you don't want to know any spoilers, you have been warned. So episode 7 begins with a flashback from 1908 where we see a performance by Pennywise the Dancing Clown. And then after the kids kind of go over the stage, we learn a bit more about Pennywise and his daughter and how close they are and how they were once in the circus and something bad happened to their mom. We then cut to the costume the look that we did see her getting ready in the last episode too. And that kind of look and how that matters into playing into things. And the second last shot we see is her father just kind of smoking before the performance, and a kid asks for help, he says no, and he gets kind of dragged into going to the woods where the entity eats them. And the last shot we see is her getting handed a handkerchief for her father, and she cries. And then we get continuing on to how last episode ended. So the white men burst into the black spot, and they are saying they're trying to get Rogan. They're trying to get him. And everyone's like, no, they're protecting him. They pull guns on each other. And they said, fine, we'll leave. But they don't leave. They light the whole thing on fire. And I think this whole thing was done well, good overall. But during this scene with the kids, one of them dies. Rich passes away, but he dies protecting Marge. And that whole scene is done very well. The dialogue's done very well. The acting's done very well. And the whole moment where after the fire and the little kiss on the box, they go and she's crying on him, and then Will comes and he's crying. Oh, that worked very well with the scene. But this scene is not perfect. What they're going for works, but they did have terrible CGI. The fire looked really, really bad on screen. And this is just plot convenience too, with all the surviving characters just being the ones we follow. Plot convenience. Now, Halligan and him seeing that way out, okay, I'll give you, that's fine. But everyone plot convenience, so it's surviving, okay. But I do think it works overall for what they're going for, especially with how they handle that. Then we get a wildfire as kind of after they escape. She comes up to her father. She's like, so happy to see her father, and she just wants his approval after seeing him for so long. And she kind of realizes now that this entity isn't her father. This is something that's taken and eaten your father, and he gives her the line, I ate your father, and he kills her. Which, what a plot. Last episode we learned. That was done well. The CGI, but no effect. Not a fan of that effect there. But that ends that plot storyline. I thought they would have probably ended that story in the last episode, but they didn't. I wish they would have ended it in the last episode somehow, but you know, it is what it is. So she finds that out and she's dead. We then get to the aftermath where everyone is surviving. They find Rich. They have that scene that works. Halligan is just kind of like, you know, he's not doing well and he's not really being treated right either. They're like putting it to the side and won't anything. Will's dad is just kind of like concerned, obviously, because, you know, they're glad their son's alive. Charlotte goes over to help tank Rogan, and they go to Will's house. Now, the rest of this episode really is the rest of the group coming together and really mourning Rich. They go over to tell Lily, and Lily does not great job as other kids in this episode, but still good, because what she learned in the last episode, I don't think I wish I don't get why she didn't try to share that information beforehand, but that's just a side thing right now. But they go tell Lily, she's like, what? They go to gather Rich's stuff in the plane, and that scene also works very well. The kiss storyline works very well here. And I know I wasn't a big fan of the relationship last time, but I like the relationship between Rich and Marge, how they go. That was well done, and probably the best character down and how they handled it. I've already seen ads on TikTok about that win. But yes, that was done very well. even besides the bad CGI and plot convenience. The rest of this episode was the military, where they find out that Will's father, once they find the pillar, which Halligan was like, hey, I know where to find a pillar. So they get rid of the pillar. And they said they were going to try to trap him in. That was the original plan. Well, as no surprise, the general lied. So Will's father's like, stop, pulls a gun to try to prevent this because he doesn't want this to get any worse. So he finds out that, no, the general plans to get rid of it, so Pennywise can kind of share it to scare the nation, to try to trap them how they want to be. And let me just say, that dialogue worked for me. It did work. That little speech honestly, it was like, oh, what a hateable character. Yeah. That speech worked without bad of character is. And he basically tells them to just watch and make sure he doesn't leave. Oh. And it's obviously they're setting up for a good finale where everything kind of beats together. Now, I do wish that they brought the storyline of her raising her father at the end. I think that would have been better, say towards the end, and have that little bit more storyline here. They really did so late. But it's obvious they're setting up for a storyline. Basically tell them not to leave. And the episode ends with Hank Rogan. They go to the Indians where her son kind of goes up, and he was like, hey, they took this, and that's how they find out. And Rogan is there and trying to get him out to, get him out of this mess. But I am getting a little bit, now we are leaning towards the finale. It's obviously where the storylines are gonna go. I am curious to how they're gonna handle it, because we do know with 2017, I think the part 2 is like 2018 or 2019. I can't remember which year it came out. We do know he survived. Obviously, he survives on and gets defeated later on in the timeline. So I guess the question is, how are they going to deal with this finale? Because obviously that answers the question of how he got out or what happened. Did they get tainted? Or I don't know how they're going to handle it. I don't know. But I am interested how they're going to handle it, because this is a one season. Because I know we're getting 3 seasons. We're going back more in time of how they're going to handle it. Because as we do know the events of the future with the movies. Which that also begs the question of the other 2 seasons, how they're going to do that. I don't know, but the last season, with the way they go back to 92, I think that get rid of that, but I just don't know. So overall, I liked the episode, and for me, this series is just something I enjoy watching. Not something I absolutely love, but I like the series. For me, it's a good series to me. So comment down below what you thought of this episode, and I will see you guys soon with a new video, and I hope I can find a video on how they talk about the history connected to the events with the 50s on the iCard. I hope I can find one. I'll see you guys soon. So racism is a topic they talk about from the very beginning of the show. And going all the way back to my first episode, I'm going to start just inserting as much helpful videos as I can find from different perspectives, talking about how racism is represented in this show. And I want to find people who have a better understanding of it than I do. So please check out those videos whenever you get the chance that I have put in here, because it's very important to listen to multiple voices, especially with how social issues are presented in TV shows.